Lowkick.com's Evan Holliber here with Dustin the Disciple Pague, fighting Jared Papazian, UFC on FX3, June 8th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dustin, how's the training been going for this fight?
I couldn't ask for a better train-up for this fight. Everything's just been going really smoothly. This is the first time ever I've had a great notice before the fight, so I have time to, we've scheduled out a perfect train-up. Things have just been going really smoothly. Great progression with my strength and conditioning, consistent training partners, so I couldn't ask for a better train-up.
Now, a lot of people don't know you're actually a pretty big 135-pounder when you're not in training, like in a training camp. How's the weight cut? How's the the weight been coming? Now, how's the weight been coming off? Is it easier than before? Is it harder? How's that going?
Each fight it gets a little bit easier. I'm learning certain tricks that work, things that don't work. So this fight is probably going to be the easiest cut for me to get to 135. I'm actually walking around at a low weight to where I was, flying out to my first UFC fight. So things are going really well.
All right, very good, very good. Now, in your last fight, you lost by TKO in the first to John Albert. What have you changed in your training camp and in your preparations to make sure that doesn't happen again?
I'm just really focusing on my game plan. I had a lot of jitters my first, my UFC debut against John Albert, so I really just went in there sloppy, really open, just nervous and throwing a lot of bombs, trying to take his head off. I'm going to slow it down. I'm going to fight the kind of fight that I usually fight, pick my opponent apart, cut angles, and just be really smart. I've been tightening up my game a lot where I'm not exposed as much.
Okay, is there anything specific you've been working on? Because you went 2-1 on The Ultimate Fighter and looked great your first two fights. You cruised to an easy decision winning your first one and pretty much dominated Luis Guadagnino. But then in your third fight, you got eliminated by TJ Dillashaw, where he wasn't exactly the better all-around fighter, but he out-wrestled you. What have you done to shore up those holes in your game?
A lot of people don't know. Obviously, wrestling was a huge part of that fight, that I needed to work on. But also just going against my game plan again. We kind of figured TJ was going to take me down, but part of the game plan was to get back to my feet. I didn't really work that. I felt comfortable on my back going for submissions. So not only have I been working a lot on my wrestling defense with Neil Johnson, he's been helping me out a lot with that, but also he has it in my mind that if I do get taken down, I'm fighting to get to my feet at all costs. No matter what it takes, I'm getting back to my feet. So that's kind of drilled into my head right now, and if the fight does go to the ground, it's not going to be there very long.
And as you were talking about Jared earlier, do you expect him to want to stay on the feet, or do you think he'll want to take it to the ground?
It's hard to say. I assume that he's going to want to stand and bang. Most of his fights are like that. He knows that I like to do that, so it's going to be an exciting fight if we stand. But you just always have to expect the unexpected. He could look for that takedown. So I'm just going to be prepared for whatever he throws at me.
Okay. Now also you've opened up your own gym recently, Disciple MMA. What's it like balancing the two lifestyles of being a gym owner, running your own business, and also staying on top of your game as a UFC fighter and trying to climb the ranks of that organization?
That was a big concern of ours before we opened the gym. Just making sure that my #1 goal and my focus should be on my fight career. And it hasn't been a problem. I have great business partners, Chris Merritt, Scott Howard, John Tibbetts, and great instructors at the school. So I pretty much don't have to do much when I'm in train-up for a fight. They know my goal is to get in shape and do work during the fight. So they do a good job of running things and allowing me to focus on my fight career. So it's been a blessing to have them and this facility to train.
All right, that'll about do it. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. Is there anybody you'd like to thank?
I just want to thank you for having me, here, and I appreciate your time. I just want to thank, obviously, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I just believe, God's given me these talents and these gifts, and I just try to honor Him the best I can. I'm very thankful for what He's done in my life. Blessed me with a great family, great friends, beautiful wife, and great training partners. So I just want to thank my instructors, Chris Merritt, Scott Howard, my manager Brian Hamper, Chris Valentine, Neil Johnson, Sam Yusefi, Paul Cittering, just a bunch of great training partners. You know who you are. I appreciate you guys. I love you all, and ready to get this win.
All right, there you go. Dustin Disciple Pague.